excerpts. If any of our speakers is able to share some of the video excerpts on your own social media posts, that is great, and I'll make sure to send you how to do that following today's briefing. And now we're just about 60 seconds after the hour, so let's begin. Welcome to today's American Community Media Special Thursday California briefing. I'm Sandy Close, your moderator for today. Our topic falls in the good news you can use category, which feels like a relief after very tough news briefings. It's about the California Housing Finance Agency, known as CalHFA. Its program targeting first-generation home buyers. Even as affordability worries grow and housing costs soar, this program is a bright spot for would-be first-generation home buyers, particularly in long underserved ethnic minority and immigrant communities. The California Housing Finance Agency, CalHFA, is rolling out the California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program to help would-be buyers who qualify in California meet down payment and or closing costs on home mortgages. Applications for the program will open on February 24th and close on March 16th, 2026. For some 1,500 to 2,000 beneficiaries, the program plants the seed for intergenerational wealth and changes real lives one at a time. Panelists include the CalFHA Program for All Information Officer, 2 real estate brokers serving Black, Asian, and Latino housing markets, a home ownership counselor in LA's Koreatown, and a recent beneficiary of the program who will discuss how it works, who qualifies, sorry for disturbance there, who qualifies, how to apply, and why now is the time to take a leap of faith to become a home buyer. We invite reporters to post questions in the chat. We will take questions from reporters during the last 10 minutes of the briefing, and we will send video and follow-up materials later this afternoon. We ask speakers to speak slowly, as I'm doing, for simultaneous interpreting in Korean, Mandarin, and Spanish. We now welcome our panel. Eric Johnson, Information Officer, Marketing and Communications Division, CalHFA. Shanta Clark, Senior Loan Consultant and CalHFA Program Educator, Home Counselor, and Broker, Southern California. Imelda Manzo, Broker and owner of Premier One Realtors. Willie Lee, Home Ownership Program Director at the Shalom Center in Los Angeles, and Tiffany Duvernay Smith, Dream for All Program Beneficiary. We begin with Eric Johnson, who will provide an overview of how the program works, why it's important for our audiences to know who qualifies and how to apply. If time allows, he and our other speakers will also tell us about other CalHFA home ownership opportunities. We begin with you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you.
Sandy, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Thanks to everybody who's on the call today. I'm hoping to get some good news out to everyone so you can report it out to everyone who reads you and watches you and listens to you and otherwise interact with you. My name is Eric Johnson. I'm with the California Housing Finance Agency. We just celebrated our 50th year of helping people in California buy their first homes and also constructing affordable homes in apartment complexes and that sort of thing. Our latest program is the Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program. We've been doing this program since about 2021, the first year that the legislature appropriated money for us to do the program. And so far, we've helped about 4,000 people find their first homes. With this latest funding, we're hoping to do another 1,000 to 1,500 people. And it's a really powerful program. You'll hear later from Ms. Duvernay Smith about how it changed her life. And we've got thousands of other people whose lives have been changed by this program. This is a program for first generation homebuyers. One of the most important things is, in terms of generational wealth and getting that started, is owning a home. So much of a family's wealth is locked up in their home, and you can use that home for passing it on to the next generation. And so many families, people, different races, ethnicities have been essentially frozen out of homeownership in the United States and in California. I could quote you all kinds of horrible statistics. The one that really gets me is in the Black community. The homeownership rate right now is less than it was in 1968 when the Fair Housing Act was first passed. Not a lot has changed. And what we're trying to do this program is make an incremental change. We're defining a first generation home buyer as somebody who has not owned a home in the past 7 years and whose parents do not currently own a home. We're also defining a first generation home buyer as somebody who has been in the foster care system, somebody who maybe never knew their parents and never had even the slightest opportunity to take advantage of generational wealth being passed down to them. We often have multiple borrowers on a loan, so only one of them has to be a first generation home buyer. Everyone else has to be a first time home buyer. That means they haven't owned a home in the first 3 years. This program opens up, as Sandy said, on February 24th. This is a random selection process. So whether you apply on February 24th or March 16th or anywhere in between, you've got the same chance of getting one of our vouchers. The vouchers allows you to apply for the program. What you need to do is work with one of our loan officers. You'll hear from Shanta Clark a little bit later today about what that process looks like, some of the successes that she's had with home buyers. There's an application form you have to fill out. You have to get pre-qualified for the loan to make sure you have the financial wherewithal to afford the loan. What we found in California is there are thousands and thousands of people who have the good credit score, who have a steady job and steady income, but they haven't been able to save up enough money for that down payment. And with housing prices being what they are, a down payment can be a fairly significant hurdle. People haven't saved up 5, sometimes even 6 digits in their bank account to make that down payment. So what Dream for All does is it loans people up to 20% of the value of the home for that down payment. So for instance, if I buy a home for $500,000 and that's the purchase price, Dream for All can loan me up to $100,000. What that means is I'm making my monthly payments on a payment of $400,000 instead of $500,000. An independent survey by Cal Matters, when we started out the program, found that this could save the average home buyer about $1,000 per month on their home buying payment, that's a big chunk of change. This is a shared appreciation loan, which means that once you sell the home, then not only do you have to pay back that $100,000, but also 20% of the appreciation of the home. We've got some good examples on our website at calhfa.ca.gov. That's the best way to kind of see some of these examples. It's a little complicated to just explain over the air. So I really recommend that you take a couple of minutes and hop over to our website and see what these examples actually look like. Now, as I said, We're looking to help between 1,000 and 2,000 home buyers with this latest round of funding. And if you think about the 35 million people who are in California, it seems like a drop in the bucket. But what I'm here to say, and what you'll hear about later, is every single one of those 1,000 people, it's changing not only that person's life, their family's life, their kids' lives, their grandchildren's lives. It's a it's a game changer. I really hope that you take a moment and look at our website to find out some more information. We've got some other testimonials on there. And again, you'll be hearing from Shanta and Imelda and uh, and Ms. Duvernay Smith later on. And also Willie will be telling you about some of the resources that are available for people who maybe think they're not quite ready to buy a home right now, but go talk to a home loan counselor and you might be surprised. This is a loan. It's called the Dream for All because we're hoping to make some dreams come true. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to kick it back to Sandy.
Well, I can't resist a very important question we have from one of our listeners. If you'll forgive me, Sunita, I'll read your question for time. Mr. Johnson, what is the maximum income qualification to be eligible? And following up, lower income people often have low credit scores, which make them ineligible for many loans. How does this program circumvent that challenge?
Well, we're certainly not trying to circumvent anything. We want to make sure we work with people. You'll hear from Imelda later that she worked with her home buyers for almost 5 years to get their credit score into shape, to make sure their income was where it needed to be, to make sure their debts were paid off. So it's certainly not a instant thing. It's the best time to start though is now. Talk to one of our approved loan officers. Now, the first part of the question, there are income limits, but they are moderate income levels. They vary by county. We have a list of all those on our website. It's, I think, $148,000 in Los Angeles County, similar to that up in Del Norte. Some of the Bay Area counties are north of $200,000 for an income limit. So it's not just they're pretty decent income limits. And again, we really encourage people to at least make a call to a loan officer and see if they qualify. Don't assume that you can't do it.
And one follow-up or related question, can you provide the CalHFA website?
Certainly, I'll put that in the chat once I'm
Oh,
done talking
okay.
here on camera, so I'm not staring off into the lower right-hand corner of my screen, but I'll definitely put that in the chat.
Okay. And a final question for me before we do our final Q&A. Has there been a decline in the kind of hope of home ownership? We're told the American dream is no longer a kind of article of faith or aspiration. What is your sense of how Californians, especially in our target audience, among our target audiences, look at the whole idea of home ownership?
It's a challenge. California's home prices are really high. There's no way to really sugarcoat that or, get around it. They just are. And that's why this program has such a generous down payment, because if you've got a high price, then you need a lot of assistance. And that's what this program is about, giving people a lot of assistance.
Great. Thank you so much. And please stay with us and monitor the questions. Our next speaker is Shanta Clark, a CalHFA program educator, home counselor, and broker in Southern California. Please, Ms. Clark, the microphone is yours.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Shanta Clark here. I am with New American Funding, MLS number 453545. I am also a Cal HFA lender. We are what you call a direct lender. In Los Angeles, we see where the need is and we want to meet it. There is affordable homes that are popping up in California, Carson, Compton, Inglewood. So there are a lot of programs that are out there, but CalHFA is one of the best programs that I myself worked with for years. I think the dream of home ownership is there. I do a lot of advocating for home ownership. I work with multiple HUD approved housing agencies, such as West Angeles on Crenshaw, which is a busy area, NHS, which is neighborhood housing, and the Shalom Center, which Willie is on the call. But what's important to my community is understanding we can afford a payment, no doubt about it. We pay rent, no doubt about it. We are sometimes living month to month because those rent prices can be 3,500 a month, 4 grand a month. So if we can pay rent, the question is, why don't we own a home? Well, we don't have the big down payment for it. And I'm saying we, my community, I'm part of the African American, Korean and Black community or Asian community in Los Angeles. And most of them that come to me and my organization is because they simply don't have the down payment. Cal HFA has made that possible, not only with the Dream for All, they have a regular Cal conventional program, they have an FHA program, they have extra programs that they're helping the community with 3% down. And a lot of the buyers are having realtors help with the seller giving closing costs to make that happen. So this program is one of the biggest programs I'm pushing, besides doing grants and down payments for city of LA also. I just want to make sure that people understand, get excited about home ownership. It's out there for you. There are homes, condos for a low income market. I mean, I just did 4 new builds in Compton that were originally people thought 600,000, but they only sold for 350 for certain people that are low to moderate income buyers. With one of those, we use a Cal FHA program that helped the buyer with down payment and closing costs. So that buyer got in that home with less than 2,000 down. And that's big in California, especially in the LA area. So there are multiple programs, but Cal HFA is making it possible where you're hearing, yes, yes, you can. Yes, you can own this home. Yes, you can own this condo. And we at New American Funding have products to help, and we want to assist. We have a whole startup where we check your credit. We do a soft pull to see what to work on. And when some people say, oh, no, these programs take too long, that's not true. I've done these Dream for All programs and the other Cal HFF program in 30 days or less. 30 days. That means home ownership can be possible in 30 days. And we see how our areas are changing. Now sellers are selling fast because they don't know what's going to happen with California. So with that said, if they're selling their home fast, they're asking the renter in that home to buy now or get out. That means they have no choice. And that's where the homeless situation is coming in, and it's coming in fast. So if anyone says that dream is not possible, that's not true. They're just not talking to the right people to find out if that dream is true and how to make it come true. So I encourage people for home ownership, no matter what nationality they are. Don't be scared. Just ask the questions. And if one person tells you no, I'd suggest people go to the next one, because you're going to find a yes and you're going to find how we're able to do it. I think there are people that was in my business that's, oh, if you don't have 20%, you can't buy. Well, they don't have the education and knowledge to know our market because these programs have been around for over 30 years. So I always tell people, go to a home buyer class, even if you own a home, learn how to keep your home, and then learn how to be a first-time home buyer. So those are my thoughts. I'm pushing people, and anyone want to know about home ownership or programs or grants, please give Shanta Clark a call at New American Funding.
Good. Thank you so much. Could you tell us where many of us are in Northern California, some of us indeed from farther north, and when you say reach out to us, who is the us? Should we be looking at real estate brokers? Should we be calling HUD? should we be going to the CalHFA website to seek counseling?
Yes, well, all of those, like part of the HUD website, they have list of HUD approved organizations. I'm a part of at least 5 of them. But some people would call me directly, New American Funding. We are all over. We're in every single state. So that makes a big difference because my organization is not only doing home ownership for California, we're doing it every single state. We just want to see people own, be successful, and really reach that dream of wealth. When people talk about owning a home and how the equity builds in a home, it makes a difference for generations to generations because then you can eventually pull out money to pay for son and daughter schooling, to pay for bills. This is the whole purpose of being a homeowner. And not only in California, but in the United States. California is where we're seeing the need because I can walk down the street and see simple people that get a check. Some of them on disability, some of them, I want to say schizophrenic, bipolar, but even they have home ownership. They're putting them into rental properties. Well, why not? Once they're ready and stable, they should be able to buy a condo to move ahead. So I think as a community, when you see this and you see people maintain, and you wonder if these people are maintaining, how is this homeless people that are not having a home? Well, they don't know where to go, where to start. So their organizations, even church organizations, that's why part of the Shalom Center, West Angeles. Those are just 2 churches that don't want to see their community homeless, right?
You're
So you have to start there. Go
right.
for it.
You're really saying if there's a HUD approved counseling agency, that would be a very good place to start. It could be
Yes.
a church, it could be a real estate broker, it could be a housing community service organization. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. We would love to circle back and ask very specific questions like you talked about the difficulties of moving forward in the African American community and learning what is unique in the African American experience that has made this such a homeownership so challenging. And please stay on because we may start with that question when we circle back. I would really welcome our next speaker, Imelda Manzo, a builder owner serving a primarily Latino market in Southern California, maybe to give us also a sense of what the issues and challenges are, particularly for Latinos. And I think you'll see on the chat a question from La Opinion about the difficulty if you live in Los Angeles, but the only affordable homes, even within this program, are in Riverside or, further south. How possible is it to find a home you can own in Los Angeles?
Well, thank you, Sandy, and I'm excited to be here. It's an honor to be here. Buenos días a todos. Good morning. Yes, I'm a real estate broker. I've been practicing for about 22 years, and I do serve mostly the majority of my clientele is Latino. I work mostly in Riverside County, so I do get a lot of homeowners, buyers that come from areas like San Diego, which is more expensive, LA County or Orange County, which is, home prices there are higher than Riverside County. I want to tell you why I'm passionate about helping my Latino community, and a lot of it has to do with the statistics of who we are as a Latino community. For California alone, we are about a little bit over 55% of the US population. And Latinos are the youngest demographic. So I am passionate about helping Latinos become homeowners because, myself, I'm an immigrant. So when I remember my humble beginnings, I came here at the age of 8 years old with my two brothers and literally $0 in my pocket. So I saw firsthand how my parents or my aunts and uncles struggled, the challenges that they went through with their landlords. So from a very young age, I was determined that I want to break that cycle and help my family become homeowners. So in my early 20s, I was lucky and fortunate enough to become a homeowner. And I did it not just for myself, but I did it to set an example because I'm truly passionate about advocating, educating, and empowering the Latino community because I see that, we continue to be a demographic that continues to be underserved. And I want to help bridge the wealth gap that we have as a Latino community. I stand here today to tell you how grateful I am for programs like CalHFA because they have different programs like the My Home, the ZIP program that helps home buyers with closing costs. And of course, our very popular one is the California Dream for All, which truly, truly has been the key to a lot of these buyers that aspire to become homeowners, where it truly helps them become homeowners. And Eric obviously already explained, gave us a general overview of how the program works. And for me, also working as an REO agent back in the market meltdown of 2008, I got to witness firsthand how families that looked like me lost their homes. So to me, that was like a very eye-opener where I felt like education for the Latino community is key. Educating the Latinos on what it is that it takes to become a homeowner. But it's not just educating the Latino home buyers, but educating the real estate practitioners on making sure that they understand what programs are out there and becoming familiar with the programs and working with partners like New American Funding, who I've had the honor to work with a lot, on showing Latinos that there is a way for them to become homeowners. I have a family that I recently helped, the Arteaga Sanchez family, who they've been in this country for like 30 years. I held their hand literally for about 4.5 years on showing them how to get ready to buy a house. And with Latinos, sometimes we have to show them, basics like how to build credit, showing them how to, pay down their debt, saving money for the down payment. The biggest challenge that I see in the Latino market is the down payment because a lot of them right now are mortgage ready. They have steady income, the employment history, the great credit, but they continue to have a challenge with coming up with the down payment. So it's programs like these that CalHFA offers that are the key for them to get into homeownership. A lot of them, like I said, they're not ready or they think that programs like this, that there must be a scam or they're hesitant to apply to the program. But, it really takes a real estate agent and partnering up with the right lenders that understand the programs and to show them that there is light under the tunnel that we could help them become homeowners. So now I'm just fortunate enough that I have used this program multiple times, and I'm excited to know that they're going to be opening, the platform for people to apply again. And, Latinos are the largest demographic. We are the youngest demographic. And I think that's really important for everyone to know because right now, Latinos, the average age is 31. So that makes us 8 years younger than the general population. So Latinos are here to stay.
Right. Just going back to the original question of geographic availability, would you say that there are still affordable housing Latinos could buy who live and work in Los Angeles without having to move to either Riverside or San Diego or Imperial?
Well, there's less in LA County, in my opinion, and that is the reason why they make the move to Riverside County. One of the things that we see with the Latino community is the ones that cannot or don't want to move further out because of the commute to work is that they have to live in multi-generational
Right.
households, and that's a trend that we continue to see.
Right. Thank you. We have wonderful questions. I'm just going to ask one and then ask you to check the chat. Question is the first generation requirement only, sorry, I'm looking at Ms. Vargas's question. A home, if someone applies and owns a home in a foreign country, does that disqualify the applicant? That may be a question for Mr. Johnson.
A home in a foreign country does not. I answered it in the chat also. But yes, this is the first generation requirement only applies to homes in the US. So if you were fortunate enough to inherit a home in a foreign country, then that does not disqualify you.
Great. Thank you. And please do, because there's so many good questions, we can't do justice to them all. But I think we'll move on to our next speaker. And Ms. Menzo, thank you so much for joining and staying on for the final Q&A. Our next speaker is Will Lee, who will talk about first-time home buyers in the Asian community in Southern California, and particularly Korean Americans in Los Angeles. Mr. Lee, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. So good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Asian community and to share what is needed to increase the home ownership, particularly through programs like CalHFA's Shared Appreciation Dream for All program. Home ownership is it's more than owning a home, as you know. For many Asian families, it represents stability, security, and the opportunity to build generational wealth. Yet, despite strong work ethic and financial responsibility, many families remain locked out of the housing market due to barriers. So we need to understand the challenges that the Asian community has for home ownership. The Asian community is they're not monolithic. It includes immigrants, refugees, seniors, young professionals, and multi-generational households. But across this diversity, we see common challenges. So first, for Asians, many buyers are first-generational home buyers. They may not have had parents or relatives who understands actually the U.S. mortgage system. Concepts like credit scores, DTI ratios, escrow, or shared appreciation loans can feel overwhelming. So these barriers and also including the language barrier is very significant. Even buyers who speak conversational English, they may struggle with legal and financial terminology. And when people don't fully understand the documents, they hesitate and often just delay buying altogether. So language barrier is it's a big barrier for the Asians, and so of course the cost is the biggest barrier actually. In high cost areas like Los Angeles here, of course in the Bay Area, families may afford monthly payments but cannot save fast enough for the down payment, while also covering rent and other expenses. So I think this is where the CalHFA's Dream for All program becomes transformative. Yeah, for many Asian families, the down payment, it's not income, but the down payment is the main obstacle. So Dream for All provides down payment and closing cost assistance through shared appreciation loan and allowing first-time buyers to enter the market sooner. So by reducing upfront financial burden, Dream for All turns home ownership from a long-term hope into a real immediate possibility. The shared appreciation structure also allows the program to remain sustainable so more families can benefit over time. And no, I'm a housing counselor myself, but I think education and counseling, it's very, very important. They're essential, actually. Financial assistance is not enough. You need education and counseling. And I think that's a key to really sustainable home ownership. So many Asian buyers need clear explanations on how shared appreciation works, and they need help understanding the long-term responsibilities of owning a home and guidance on budgeting and future planning. And CalHFA's required home ownership education, it ensures buyers are not just approved for a loan, but truly prepared to own a home. So going back to language barrier, I think there has to be some language access. And I think the culture has to also be understood, and there also has to be trust. So to increase home buying in the Asian community, programs must be accessible and trusted. So I think like multilingual workshops and materials would be a great idea. And I have housing counselors who understand the cultural and the cultural values, the family dynamics of Asian community would play a key role. And one-on-one counseling that allows families to ask questions without fear. I think that's also very important. So many families rely on trusted community organizations to guide them. And housing organizations, Shanta has mentioned a few of them, but HUD-approved housing agency and housing counselors can really help the buyer understand this whole process, the home purchase, and also the Dream for All shared appreciation loan. So we need to let the Asian community or any other communities know about this program. I feel that still a lot of people don't know about the Dream for All program. So I think awareness is critical. Many eligible families simply just do not know about the down payment assistance programs. So I think outreach through community-based housing agencies and maybe faith-based cultural organizations, workshops, and counseling programs, they ensure that the information reaches families who need it most. When people understand that these programs are designed to support, not burden, first-time home buyers, participation increases. So in closing, I'd like to say increasing home ownership in the Asian community requires more than a single solution. Families need down payment assistance, education and counseling, language access, trusted guidance, and awareness of the programs like CalHFA's Dream for All. So when these elements come together, homeownership becomes achievable, sustainable, and empowering. Programs like Dream for All are not just financial tools. They are pathways to stability and opportunity for Asian families across California. So thank you for the opportunity to serve first-time home buyers. And I want to let all the home buyers or people that are trying to apply for the California Dream for All to go see a counseling
Right. Could
housing
we
counselor. So sorry.
could I take the last 60 seconds you have? We have a question. If there's a example of, let's say, a Korean first-time home buyer that benefited from the Dream for All program, could you briefly give us an example?
Sure.
They
First of
did.
all,
They closed in Ontario,
I think
California.
Shanta has helped, yeah, one of our
Yay.
clients, one of our.
And they went to your class.
Yeah, but we have I do remember certain cases, but since the program had opened back in 2023, I think that's when it first opened. We've helped over 100 clients
Well,
through
that's good.
counseling. Yeah, so there's so many cases,
Good.
many of them. Actually, I want to say about 97% of them did not have the down payment saved.
Right,
And this is where, yeah, the California Dream for All played a
right.
very critical role.
Okay, maybe you could answer a question about low credit ratings and how to help people who have low credit ratings. That's on the chat. But we're going to go now. Thank you so much. We're going to go now to Tiffany Duvernay-Smith, who will speak and share her own experience in benefiting from applying for and being able to benefit from the Dream for All program. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Duvernay-Smith.
Thank you. I am identifying with all the barriers, and it still happened for me. And I can end it right there, but I won't. So again, my name is Tiffany Duvernay-Smith. Just personally, I advocate on a city, county, state, and federal level around homelessness, mental health, domestic violence, criminal justice reform, equity, wellness, and health. And I also work for a government agency that serves our homeless community. I'm responsible for an advisory board made up of people just like me, formerly homeless, different intersectionalities that serve in an advisory role to city, county, and other agencies that contract for and serve our unhoused community. And those are things that have impacted my life. So my story is from homeless to homeowner. Again, hold hope for the people that you are helping, that they can overcome the barriers. And although the barriers are real, we're all at different places in our faith. And this is truly a leap of faith for me. And how I got connected to the program is I saw those 2023 emails and I ignored them because my vision or my dream of being a homeowner and the fact that it is possible, I just wasn't making the connection. The same for the 2024 emails. But one of my peers, so another homeless advocate, like forwarded the email to a group of us. And I'm like, there's that email again. But it made me read it. I was like, he really thinks that one of us can be a homeowner? What is this? So I looked into it and I dug up an old email. I think it was like April 24th or something. And then it was like an April 29th deadline, something like that. But I wrote it back and I was like, I made the deadline. I applied, And another thing I decided was to go with Black women. And what I mean by that is when I'm on the site looking at who's in my area that could service me, I saw the face of a Black woman, which is Shanta Clark that you see on the screen. I was like, I'm going to try, And then in the end of it all, she referred me to a realtor who was also a Black woman. But I was getting help from someone else. Just, is this a possibility in my life, But I decided I'm going to go with her referral, and it all worked out for me. And then what I want people to really to understand is like, the answer is already no. It's already not going to happen for you. But as soon as you apply, it's a 50% chance that the answer is yes. But the answer will never be yes if you don't actually apply. We fell in and out of eligibility, my husband and I, during the process. Oh, we make too much. Let's go look at other programs. But then that number went up. I believe it went up to 168,000, and it helped us qualify again. This is while I'm waiting for my turn for my voucher. So when I found out that I hit the lottery, I came in, my number was over 1,000. And I want to tell you, because I was trying to make that deadline, I applied by myself. And by myself, I was approved at 380,000. My credit score was in the sixes. And where can I get something for 380? I can't. So eventually added my husband, and that qualified us for 575. Where can I get something in LA for 575? That's quality, you know? I'm gonna say, so April 2024 to August 2025. So August 2025 is, I checked again and my number was in the 400s. You know, every now and then checking, I notice it's going real slow, right? So here we are a year and a half later. My number was 400 and something. But later that same month, I got that email. We released the rest of the vouchers. It's your turn. You have 90 days to use it or lose it. I still didn't take any action. This was like an August 22nd notice. It was September 3rd when I called Shanta and was like, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go for it. It's now or never, you know? And like I said, I want to acknowledge all the barriers that are in the chat. I had all of these barriers. For me, I'm running on faith, running on blessings, running on miracles. And is it going to happen for me? You know, even down to the commuting and the affordability and my husband being on a train, I'm like, it's already an hour ordeal for him on public transportation, and which is his preference. And moving far out, that's going to put like 2 to 3 hours. You know, we're looking at like a 4-hour commute both ways for what we can afford. And so I'm like, do I want that? I'd rather rent than to not have my marriage. You know, I'm a all hands-on person, up close and personal, you know. So the other thing I want to say is, so to answer the credit question, I had time to work on my score. So when it came down to it in this past September, I came in at 771. My husband came in at 780. We got approved at 725. And so this is us being diligent and being responsible and paying our bills and keeping our numbers up, just for considering the possibilities.
Just
One
very,
more thing is, your house is your house. Your name is on it, point blank, period. I learned that the seller, so the home was vacant for a year because the seller was waiting for what they felt was the right buyer. And so out of all the looking I did in and out of Los Angeles, what is for you is for you. Don't let any doubt stop you, because you have no idea. And as far as like, I do not have children or grandchildren, even though, you know, I might look like there's to be some kids running around here somewhere. But I do have an aunt. She is 75 years old. It's my mother's sister. I became a homeowner and a caretaker at the same time, and it was not my plan. It happened that way. So I'll say that, I'll tell you, I was in, my rent was subsidized when I finally did get housed. My rent was subsidized for about 6 years. And then I went into low income. And because we both started working, it put us in at 80% AMI bracket, where we were still getting a discount on rent. But then we had to move. So Memorial Day, we were in an apartment paying market rent for the same time. Faith being stretched, paying more rent than I ever wanted to pay in my life. And that was the faith building and the faith stretching right there. Just my portion, I'm just going to tell you, I went from paying $200 to $1,600 unexpectedly. Okay, just my portion. And so we have a pretty even break. So what we were just paying in market rent, and then what my aunt is able to contribute, it worked out like that for me, where we're not really paying extra on our mortgage because we have a whole person that's also contributing to a third of the mortgage.
So, very quick last question. How was it that you did happen to find a house in Los Angeles, in the neighborhood that you felt was good for you, when the idea that it's almost hopeless, you would have to go to another county? What kept you? Was it Shanta's help? Was it knowing you had a colleague who was a real estate broker who was keeping an eye out? What kept your faith that you could find a home to buy in Los Angeles?
Again, with the apartment that I just got moved into Memorial Day last year, put me out of South LA. So I'm back in South LA in a historically Black neighborhood, and I found the house myself.
Wow.
So
Amen.
although there's people looking and helping, and there's this and this and this particular one, I found it.
And did you just happen to see for sale, or you heard?
If you really want to beat me to be specific, I was looking on Zillow and I found this particular house on Zillow.
Honestly,
And I will say, like,
that's great.
going into escrow is dating. Closing escrow is the marriage to the house, right? While I was dating, you need to know I was still looking because my doubts. Can I afford this? Do I want this? Do I want to live in this area? And I'm looking all over the place. This is was the most up-to-date house that somebody loved and cared about. This is the seller who gave me 20% closing costs.
Got it.
This is the seller who fixed whatever I said.
So,
Total blessing. I know everybody's not that way because you need to know in other places I look, if the shower door is not even there, you're not going to give it to me or put it on for me, or you would have done it already. And all of these smells, you know, so I know the barriers and what people are dealing with
right.
and what they can't afford. It's not really what they want.
This is a very inspiring example of taking a leap of faith, hanging in, going through ups and downs, and finally looking yourself, getting your credit score lower, seizing opportunities. But I need to go to our last round of questions. Really appreciate it. And let me say to everyone on the call, a number of our speakers are absolutely available for follow-up interviews and are language fluent in Spanish and Korean, and of course, English. And so I just urge you, we'll send contact information out after the call. But let me go to our first speaker to ask, you put a wonderful response in the chat to a question, Mr. Johnson, about people with low credit ratings and what to do. You also know about other programs CalHFA offers in addition to Dream for All. What are your final thoughts, having heard some of the questions and read some of the questions in the chat?
Well, there are so many resources. I mean, having Shanta and Imelda and Willie on this call just really shows that there's so many people out there who want to help. And I think a lot of people are scared. There was a question about, given this, climate politically and all the horrible things that our federal administration is doing to disincentivize people from literally leaving where they live. How do you let people know that it's safe to even apply for a loan like this? And so much of it is trust. Finding someone that you trust. I think the people on this call are all people that you can trust and have your readers and listeners and watchers trust that they're gonna do right. Um, it's as I said at the beginning, it's tough, but I've been doing this for 25 years now, and one of the things that gets me up every morning is the stories that Imelda tells me, the stories of that Miss Duvernay Smith is telling us about how it can be done and how you can make a difference. And if one person reads one of your stories and goes out and talks to a loan officer and is able to get their home, your presence here on this lovely morning has been worth every second.
Thank you. One of the questions I think that maybe any of our speakers can answer, but I'll ask it, is if for some reason selling becomes absolutely necessary after you've become a beneficiary of the program, what are the restrictions, if any, on selling?
The only restriction is that you have to pay the loan back. You can sell it to anybody. There's not a minimum amount of time you have to stay in the home. That's really the only thing.
Right. And let me, there was a question from Nestor Fantini that talking about affordability in the American dream, is this a program for low-income Californians? One of our attendees asked the question, how do we know if we can continue to afford the mortgage payments? What happens if you lose your job and you can't keep up with them? So there's all this uncertainty, but with interest rates of 5.5% and median house prices of more than 900,000, can this program really work for people like Miss Duvernay Smith and low-income residents of California? Maybe
I'm gonna ask Shanta to answer that because you're the person who's working with these folks
Yes,
every
right.
single day.
Yes.
I'm going to ask
Yeah.
Shanta, Imelda, and Willie Lee to answer that
Yeah.
question. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll go first. It works. That's why it's important to get started with the home buyer counseling. Like I said, I have people that come that own a home and they want to know what are their alternatives if they lost their job or one of their spouses has passed. We look into loans for rate modifications. We look into certain people that wanted to downsize their home. They wanted to sell and they wanted to get pre-approved for a condo before they sell their home. A lot of people didn't know that I do a gift of equity. That's people in the community, and a lot of the people in the Black community didn't know that they can sell their own home to their grandchildren. And that's a program I do, right? This way you can keep the home in the family, meanwhile taking that heavy burden off of grandma and grandpa if they had a loan on the home. So yes, I rarely have people that go into default and didn't have an option. Everyone has an option, but you have to be able to talk to a loan officer, a counselor, someone that can tell you what those options are. And homeownership to the Black community, keep in mind, a lot of them that did have homes or their grandparents, their home was snatched from them. They weren't told that you had an option to save this home, when your parent had passed away or the grandparents. And that's why a lot of people you'll find out that homeless, that they lost their mom or grandparents' home 5, 10 years ago.
Right. Thank you. I'm going to go to Ms. Manzo. What would you say? Is this really a program given all the challenges?
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to education. It's really important from the very first meeting that you have with those home buyers on the education, making sure that they understand how the program works, that they understand, everything that's included, because it's not just about getting them into homeownership where they get the keys, but we want to make sure that they keep those keys and that they don't lose their house to foreclosure. So whenever I experience home buyers that are going through any type of financial hardship, to avoid what happened, during the meltdown of 2008, is communicating with that lender as soon as possible is key, so that they could see what that lender has to offer, whether it's a modification or a deferment of payments until they get back on their feet. But communication with their lender or their trusted advisor, whether it be the lender or the realtor that helped them, is crucial to avoid foreclosure.
Right. Thank you so much. And Mr. Lee, your thoughts on this, which really are your sort of signature last thoughts for all of us about this American dream of home ownership, especially through Dream for All. You're muted, Mr. Lee.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
So we have helped many clients over the last 30 years to purchase a home, and we do counseling in many areas, many different housing areas like rental, and we do foreclosure prevention, default counseling. So we've seen many cases, and if there are times when your financial situation is not so good, then you would need a mortgage assistance. But all of these most of these can be resolved through counseling. Yeah, so there are programs that are offered by the financial institutions and the banks, and there are also sometimes government programs, and there are nonprofit housing organizations with
Right.
rental and mortgage assistance. And as counselors and having network of different housing organizations, we can help clients through their different housing needs. So if you have issues with,
See, that's such a powerful message. CalHFA is really at the hub of an infrastructure of support. I think many of us don't either see it or understand it and sort of give up too fast. Ms. DuVernay Smith, your final word, 30 seconds. What would you say to the would-be first home buyer who comes after you?
I just want to repeat something that I already said, is that the answer is always no until you ask. Then there's a 50% chance that it's yes. And you have to apply. You have to apply and allow your faith to be stretched during the process. And hopefully your lender is as encouraging and cheering you on as Shanta was for me, that she has seen so many first-time home buyers, and the same is possible for us. So holding on to hope, taking the steps, taking the classes, working on the credit score,
Believing.
working on the deposit.
Yeah.
Just do it.
It's
Thank you.
teamwork. Teamwork.
Then you get a house, and you get a house, and you get a house,
Teamwork.
and you get a house, and you get a house.
Thank you so much for a message of hope for all of us around this crucial dream of homeownership. Really enjoyed our speakers, and thank you so much to our media colleagues and our interpreters. Truly a very hope-filled program called Dream for All, Dare to Dream.